Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I think I'm going to call this Watch Week because I got a little obsessed with this die set. I have made so many cards and honestly I could keep going and going and going, and I do plan to pull these out again. I want to try using some patterned paper with them, but for today and the next several days I'm going to share with you some different designs that I've come up with on my own. Yesterday and the day before, I gave you a Just the Cuts, playing around with some of the samples that Stamp Market had suggested. And now I want to create some different type of watch bands. I'm going to use basically everything in the set, but just create some different designs to give you some different ideas. So this is a set from the Stamp Market. This came out a while ago. If it's still available, I will link it for you below. The die set is called Watch Bands, and the coordinating stamp set is called Time to Say. I have pulled in a bunch of cardstock from Stamp Market as well. For this set, I'm using Craft, Soft Berry, Wild Berry, Tea Berry, Golden, Coral, and Salmon. I'm calling this sort of my Tutti Frutti watch collection. So as you can see here, I have started out, I've got everything die cut, and I've started out by stamping all of my watch dials. And then we're going to put together each watch one by one so you can see how I created these patterns. I did want this thanks sentiment to be a solid black, so I grabbed one of my felt tip pens, just went ahead and colored that in here. And now we're going to start putting all the watches together. So I'll start by adding sort of the outside border of the watch. And then we're going to add our dial. So a very teeny tiny dot of glue. I'm going to use my sticky tool here. This is actually a tool for adding designs onto nails if you were to get your nails done, but it works great for picking up little teeny tiny pieces like this. I'm going to add my stamp block on top of that just to make sure it's down nice and tight. And then this band we're keeping pretty simple. I have pulled in the little backing prongs here to hold the watch bands. We're going to add a little glue along the top here. Sometimes you can put these on top or on the bottom to give a variation. There are two different sizes. One is shorter to sort of fit the smaller bands, and then of course larger, so you can either have it fit perfectly or stick out a little bit. Add a little dot here, and I'm going to use my mat here to make sure everything's lined up. So I'm just going to add that watch band right along the line there. I will place this in the center, and then using that same line we can add the other portion of the band, and that way I know it's nice and straight. And we'll set that off to finish drying and work on the next one. This is the larger dial section. I have pulled in, I don't think I listed this. This is their diamond glitter paper, also from Stamp Market. I love it. This is the type of paper that has that glitter, but when you cut it, it doesn't go everywhere. So this is an absolute favorite of mine. Again, just some dots in the center. And then we'll add down our dials. So for this watch band, we're going to create a polka dot. And you can see I have all these little purple polka dots cut out there in my little dish. I'm going to add a little dot of glue. Those are all created using this same die that I used for the watch band. These are the holes that cuts out. So you can make this without any extra die sets. You just have to run that watch band piece through a bunch of times. Add my stamp block on top there just to make sure those are all down nice and tight. And then I'm going to clean up any glue with my little pin here. And we'll do the same thing to the second side. Now, you kind of learn as you put these together, because of the way the watches are going to fit onto your card base, you don't necessarily have to finish both sides of the watch band because you're most likely not going to see one side of them. So if you plan out your card ahead of time, you don't necessarily need to do all this work. There you can see I've really only done half of that because of how I want to lay this out. So adding some art glitter glue behind the base of this here, I'm going to add my little prongs again. And we will put this together exactly like the last one, a little dot behind there. And I'm going to line this up using my mat there below. All right, on to watch number 3. So I'm going to create a diagonal stripe for this one. I did pull in one of my additional stamp or die sets here. This is also from Stamp Market. It is the, I think these are the 1/4 inch stripes. I'll link it for you below. So I've cut a bunch of these out in this lighter purple color, and I'm just going to create a diagonal stripe on my watch band. Now I'm using the lines on my craft mat here to help me keep everything evenly spaced. I'm just going corner to corner and making sure that those line up here. And now since I've gone through all of my stripes, I will just trim those off. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'll fix it up later and get this finished here. And we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so now we're just going to trim around the edge, get this nice and neat. And now we'll get everything put together. So I'm going to use my square watch face for this. I'm going to add this border around the edge, just a little bit of our glitter glue. We'll add some little dots of glue and get our hands on our watch. And then for this one, it's a little bit different. We don't have those little bars to place our watch bands on. We're just going to glue the band directly behind the face. So just a little line of art glitter glue there. Again, I'm going to line this up the same way using that mat there to make sure everything is nice and straight. Starting on our next swatch here, adding again our border around. And we'll add on our hands. Add our watch bands to their little bars. And then we're going to go ahead here and add our watch bands to the face. Now for this one, I'm going to pull in one additional die, which is a very small heart die. I wanted to sort of add a band of hearts here. This is from MFT's Blueprints 32. But I figure most everybody is going to have a small heart die from some collection somewhere. Now again, if I was unsure of how I was going to lay this out on my card, I would probably complete the whole band. But because I know I'm going to need one on one side and two on the other, I'm just going to do the portion that I need. This one's going to be a pretty simple one again, but we're just mixing in some different colors. So I've got my outline here. And we'll add on our hands to our clock. We're gonna mismatch our watch band here. This whole color theme sort of really gave me 80s vibes, which I love. This watch I think is the most 80s looking watch of all of them that I created. And then of course we will get everything put together here. And we are finally to our last watch. Again, gonna add our border to the face here. And get our little hands placed down. And now we'll work on our watch bands. So we have done a diagonal stripe. Now we're going to do a vertical stripe. And I'm again using the lines on my craft mat to get everything put into place. See, all of these colors are being placed right next to that next line on the right hand side. And now a little trick, because I want these to match, obviously, to save myself a little bit of time, since I've got this lined up and my stripes are longer than my watch band, I'm just going to flip that over. We'll add some glue to the back of each of these. And then we can place our second band down, just keeping that nice and even. And easy peasy, we've got 2 done in basically the time of 1. I'm going to wipe off that excess glue, and then we'll go ahead and trim these. For this, I'm going to add our little bars for our bands on top, just a little glue behind there, and then I'll center that on the band. It does overlap that yellow just a smidge, so I'm making sure that it's nice and flush with the edge of my watch band. And of course, now we'll get everything put together. All right, so time to finally get our card put together. I am going to add some pop dots behind each of these watches. And then we're going to lay everything out. We're basically just going to create a stack of these, and I'm alternating the faces, trying not to keep them on, completely even. I want them to be slightly off, not stacked right on top of one another. And then trying to get them spaced as evenly apart as I can. So I'm going to start at the bottom here, peel away all of the backings. And we'll get that pressed into place. And then I'm going to alternate here and move up to the top because I don't want to shift anything. I want to make sure that I've got a nice even border on the top and the bottom and that everything else will fit in between. So again, peeling away all the backing on this. And then we'll get our top watch pressed into place. And I did want some of these to show the holes in those watch bands. So I'm kind of strategically placing those. And now I'm going to move again to the center. This is going to keep me aligned as I'm placing everything down so I don't shift too far to the top or bottom. And now that we've got our top and our middle in place, we'll get these last two pressed down. We're a little uneven there, so carefully peeling that up. I want to make sure I've got enough of that yellow showing. All right, and now our card front is complete. We'll go ahead and trim off the excess here. And now we'll add some art glitter glue to the back of our panel, and we'll get this pressed onto our card base. This, of course, is a slimline card. For the inside, I'm going to stamp out one of the sentiments that was included with that Time to Say stamp set. It reads, "Thanks for all the times you've helped me." We'll add some ATG to the back of that and place our panel here on the inside of our card base. And that will complete our card for today. Here are a few close-ups of the finished card. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post with additional photos and links to the supplies I've used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.